back to us because she was
Yes.
here before to highlight some wonderful things happening in the district. This is Dr. Carol Burks. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Wanda.
You're always so calm. I have to turn your mic all the way up, very low. Okay, so we have some wonderful things that are going to be happening. We want to highlight what's happening in the district here with you today. This week alone, a lot of things coming up. We have something on Thursday. You
Yes.
want to talk about that?
Yes, we are excited that our citywide parent team, in conjunction with the Wexler Grant School, will host they're calling it a spring summer fun event. And basically, it focuses on showcasing all the summer activities that are happening throughout the city for parents and for students. So we anticipate more than 200 parents registered. There'll be lots of different community partners that will be there. So we're really excited about the collaboration between the citywide parent team. Ms. Ife Waters is our parent president, as well as the school team. So we're excited and we're encouraging everyone to come out and see what's available to them and their students for the summer.
Yeah, I'm very
So
familiar with Ife. Shout out, she's very passionate about
Yeah,
education.
absolutely.
She is.
Big
She's
ups
very
to
committed.
Ife.
Yes.
Yeah, and so the schools, some of the schools will be open during the summer.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we have summer programming.
All
We
right.
have focus programs on early literacy as well as credit recovery programs. And we also partner with various organizations within the city. So PAL and all other different groups, LEAP, and some really great community partners who are providing a lot of opportunities for our students. So we partner with Yale and different groups. So there are many of our schools are used throughout the summer.
Got to keep those kids busy.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Now, the citywide parent team, that's different from Parent University.
that is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us a little about Parent University, and that's happening this week too.
Yes, we are really excited about the relaunch of Parent University. Parent University basically focuses on increasing parent involvement in our schools and empowers parents to engage with schools so that children are successful. So this Saturday, we are hosting Parent University at Metropolitan Business School. It's from 9 o'clock until 1 p.m. And at this particular Parent University, we will have various workshops. So parents will learn about College 101, how to navigate New Haven Public Schools, learn about the special education process, as well as some other activities that will happen. Oh, the Six Developmental Pathways, a partnership that we have with Yale, the Comer School Development Program. So many workshops happening. So we're really excited about that. The parents helped us develop our parent and family engagement plan. And so many of these efforts that you see that are happening started with parents. So we had a strategic planning process for parents earlier this academic year. And so these are some of the activities that came out of their work of saying, this is what we want to do, and this is how we want to be partners with you and supporting us and our kids.
Okay. Speaking of parents, I'm going to stray off of this for 1 second, get back to this. We just had the lottery for school placement for the children. And I know that there are a lot of happy and unhappy parents
Yes.
when it comes to getting their children placed.
Yes.
What is the future of the lottery system as it relates to the schools going forward? Are you planning to tweak it? Is it going to remain the same? Do we find it to be successful as is from your standpoint?
From my standpoint, I mean, we're doing some good work with the lottery, but I know that parents feel as though, they don't really understand the process. And in full transparency and honesty, we need to look closely at even the vendor that we're using
Right.
to see if we're getting our best results out of that. And we need to engage parents and other stakeholders in really unpacking our choice process. As you know, because we receive state funding, because we have interdistrict magnet schools, and as a result of that, we have to meet reduced isolation numbers. So basically, 25% of the students who attend our interdistrict magnet schools, they have to be from a reduced isolated group from the suburbs. Well, what does
Gotcha.
that mean in basic English? Is that the students have to be Caucasian or Asian, or they're counted as reduced isolation students.
To keep the funding.
Yes. So, and if we do not maintain those reduced isolation numbers at 25%, we could be subject to sanctions by the state.
Gotcha.
And so if someone does not like this, right? And so is this something that the legislature passed? Is this policy from one of the departments upstate? What is it?
So this is there's a case called Chef versus O'Neill,
Yes.
in which started in the Hartford region, and so it basically, in essence, this particular law governs this interdistrict magnet process, and so in recent years, within the past 2 years since I've been here, a year and a half or so, we've been, the state has imposed sanctions on us if we have not met the criteria of the 25%. These standards were held more closely to the Hartford region, so the schools in that particular region, but now New Haven is being imposed upon the same types of sanctions. And so this is legislative, to answer your question.
Yeah.
And so we've encouraged people to go contact their legislators, and say this is not something that we think we should be held to
Now, Chef O'Neill was brought because discrimination was happening
in the Hartford region.
Yeah, from the African American perspective.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
However, because the law is broad ranging, now it's being applied to the funding that you're getting, even though we have a high percentage of African Americans in our community, right? And minorities, so to speak. But now this is being attached to Caucasian folks from the suburbs,
Well,
right? Is
Well,
that what you're saying?
so we accepted resources as a district
Yes.
to build schools.
Yes.
And based on that, these magnet schools, we took the money with understanding that we would meet the compliance around reduced isolated numbers. So in order to build interdistrict magnet schools, part of that, the law or the legislation around that is to accept Caucasian students from the suburbs.
So what if they don't want to come?
Well, that's what we're running into. Are people going to come to our schools? And so if they don't, there are other factors that the state allows us to use in
Okay.
order to reduce those numbers. So the number of, say, faculty of color that we hire, or the number of people, students that we have special needs or English learners. So there are other factors, but it's been very difficult for us to get to the 25%. So they understand that it's very hard to get to the 25% just with Caucasian students from the suburbs. And we're asking, can we count socioeconomics and as well, so that maybe students who are Latino or African American who come from the suburbs, that we could count them. And so there's some pending, our legislators have drafted, our local state delegation here in New Haven drafted legislation, and I've gone to Hartford to testify as well as parents to say, hey, this is not fair for New Haven. Can we get some other have a number of maybe 10% of African Americans and Latinos from the suburbs count towards our reduced isolation numbers?
And what was the answer? I'm sorry.
We're still waiting.
Still
So
waiting for that.
yes, we testified back in maybe February, March, and so we're still waiting to hear what's going to happen.
I mean,
we're still in session.
Okay.
I mean, what's deep for me, and is that bottom line is that a kid is a kid is a kid. A family's a family's a family, right? And so, maybe some folks need to talk to the legislators or whatever we need to do, because my feeling, as personal, is that if we got kids right here in our city that have been turned down and their families devastated because of this 25% over here that they can't fall into that category because they don't live in the suburbs, something's wrong.
And then if
I'm
the
just-
25% don't want to come, and you spoke about going to the legislator and
Yes.
also sanctions, beyond that, beyond the sanctions and what you have, the other departments or other components of this that you have in place, if that does not work, then what happens to the program? What happens then?
Well, right now we need to push to make sure
make sure it
that
happens.
that we continue receiving the funding
Okay.
at the levels that we should receive them, as well as push for legislation. So for everyone listening, contact your state legislator and say, this is not fair for New Haven. We're empowering parents. We want them to go to Hartford. We want to push that. We cannot meet these numbers. It's not fair that our students in New Haven cannot have access to seats in their schools.
Right.
Their families live here, they pay taxes here, and they should be entitled to the schools that are right there in their community.
And understand this, right? Talking to all my audience, right? Understand this, right? Sometimes you can't just put it on administrators,
Right.
like Dr. Birks, right?
Right.
I mean, it's like she's not the problem in regard to that issue, right? And so that we need to take control of our voting, power to talk to the people that we voted for if we feel differently.
And
So
also,
that's it.
it's important to educate yourself on what's going on and how you can be more involved. Which brings me to my next question for you.
Yes.
Basic because people just don't know. Can you explain to us very briefly the difference between charter schools, magnet schools? Do you have a moment for that?
Sure. So charter schools are public schools, and private schools are charter schools are run by charter management groups or nonprofits. It depends, or for-profit companies. And so magnet schools are district schools that we receive additional funding for in order to diversify school, and they're theme-based schools. So they're basically theme-based schools. So charter schools are public schools. People always say they're not public schools. They are public schools, but they have a charter, and they're run by various groups like management companies, nonprofits, for-profit companies, and so that's what the difference between the two. But we have magnet schools here in the district. They are district-run schools in which they have theme-based schools.
Okay. And it all centers around the students. This is the most important thing, or the students, the children. You have teachers, faculty, staff, and there's a Rise and Shine initiative, and you wanted to highlight those.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Before you move on, the charter schools, do they receive funding from our public schools?
Yes, we provide transportation
Okay.
to charter schools and other like special education services, English language services. So it depends. We as the district do provide funding because they are New Haven public school students to charter schools. So yes.
So basically, it's a trade-off. Pretty much, it's like they provide this, but they're for profit, though, right? Like you said.
Some of them are. Some
Okay.
of them are nonprofits. Some
All
are
right,
for profit.
I just want to bring transparency.
Okay.
Okay.
Rise and Shine.
Yes, the Rise and Shine initiative. We have a new initiative called Rise and Shine. It's led by Kermit Carolina. He's one of our supervisors of youth, family, and community engagement. And so it's a program that focuses on boys of color. And so we're working with about 90 to 100 students, in which we're providing mentoring, tutoring, intensive support to this group of students who we've identified who need additional resources.
Nice.
We presented to the board that we saw that, and this is national, you see that our African American males were not performing academically and social emotionally and had been suspended at higher rates than other students. And so we said we have to do something about that. So Mr. Carolina put together a really intensive program. We're focusing on these particular schools right now: Barnard, Beecher, Brennan Rogers, King Robinson, Troop, and Wexler Grant. And students are taught, self-identity, commitment to learning, about values, as well as academics, and they're receiving lots of love, I should say, from men who work. Charles Blango, I'm sure many of you know. Mr. Blango. Yes, Mr. Blango, as well as other members of our youth development department, and we're looking for volunteers. So I'm in here with 3 men. So, so we're looking for volunteers to support this effort. Yes.
Anyway, go ahead.
Students are receiving culturally enriching activities.
Nice.
They went to the they went to the Wax Museum, not the Black Wax Museum, but in New York a few weeks ago. And so we're monitoring their grades, their attendance. And so when I talked to Mr. Carolina, he was like, Dr. Birk, yes, he had started some efforts before, but we said, come on, we really want you to really focus and look at and really drill down on these particular students. And so we launched that this year. Again, we're looking for volunteers. I'm going to stress that.
Yes.
And if you are interested, you can call Mr. Carolina. I have his phone number, 475-220-1734. Again, it's 475-220-1734, and to support our young men.
Everyone that talks about trying to improve our community, right? I mean, this is
This
it
is
right
the way
here.
to get
I
involved.
mean,
Yes.
and also, one last question. You guys going to keep stats on that? Because, we start programs, and then, if they're successful, we need to be able to show that and then be able to maybe increase numbers, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Very good.
Yes.
I love it.
And then I see the phone lines have been ringing. I know people have more questions for you, but busy woman, this is the superintendent, Dr. Carol Birks. How can we find you to speak with you? Are you still doing the coffee conversations?
Yes, still having coffee conversations. I have one in May, so I'll have to get the date to you because we had to reschedule this week's because I got a conflict. And so, yes, I still have coffee conversation. You can email me at dr.carol.birks@nhboe.net. You can also call me at 203-475-2000. I'd be happy to talk with anyone. And I'm really excited. I'm going to start some office hours where people can come in. So usually I'm not in the office. People are like, well, we can't just walk in. Well, I have to be there. So that's why, but we're going to set some time so people just to come in and talk with me.
Awesome. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're going to have to go to commercials.
We're gonna go
But
to commercials.
if you can you hang around for a little while? So maybe we're going to take a couple of calls. So, let's
Okay.
do our thing.
Talking with Dr. Carol Birks. It's the Juan Castillo Morning Show. More after this.